welcome to the deep dive. Today we're starting with a really difficult premise. What happens when your entire identity, your whole livelihood, is built on your body, and then in one violent second, that's all just gone?
And you're pushed from the spotlight right into the shadows. That's exactly what we're looking at today.
We are getting into Charles Williams's 1956 novel, The Big Bite. This is classic hard-boiled fiction.
Yeah, and we're going deep on it. This isn't just about the plot. It's about, the psychology of what happens when you're desperate. It's about how a bluff is built, and maybe most importantly, how fear can be turned into a weapon.
Right. Our source material today is the novel itself. We've got extensive excerpts that really map out the entire crime. So, our mission here is to unpack the story of John Harlan. He's this pro athlete who tries to trade his physical power for a different kind of power accounting.
And he does that by trying to blackmail a wealthy widow who he suspects is tied to at least one murder, but as we'll see, it's more than one.
We're basically going to give you the blueprint. You'll understand every move, every fatal mistake, and the truly terrifying price he pays for what looks like success.
And we have to start with who Harlan was before all this, because the man who attempts this whole scheme is just fundamentally broken, physically, psychologically, everything.
He wasn't just some guy on the team.
Oh, no. He was a star, a powerhouse running back. He played 5 years in the pros with McGillivray, who was, one of the best T-formation quarterbacks of his era. Harlan's entire value was his speed, that explosive first step speed.
A mechanism. That's how it's described, right? A perfect mechanism.
Exactly, and that mechanism gets destroyed. Not on the field, not in a game.
No, it's so much more random and senseless than that. A drunk driver, a guy named Cannon, sideswipes him. Harlan's leg is crushed under a Buick convertible.
Cannon dies in the crash. Harlan survives, but the injury itself, it's the subtlety of it that's so devastating. It's not the kind of thing the legal system can even, comprehend.
Because the leg healed, right, on the surface.
That's the cruelest part. It healed. An X-ray would show you a solid bone. But when he tried to come back, his teammate McGillivray, the quarterback who knew his rhythm inside and out, McGillivray kept handing him the ball a half stride ahead of where Harlan was supposed to be, just a fraction of a second off.
And in the NFL, a fraction of a second is everything.
It's the whole game. The book has this incredible line where Harlan says being a half stride slow turned him into an old lady trying to walk up Niagara Falls with a crutch.
Wow. That paints a picture. It's total functional destruction.
It is. That perfectly tuned body, that mechanism that ran like something bathed in oil was just broken. The thing he lost, that smooth surge of power from dead standstill to full speed, you can't measure that. It's not on an X-ray.
Which is why he gets so screwed in the settlement. This is the core of his resentment, isn't it? He's lost, 5 more years of his prime?
At least. At $15,000 a year, which was a fortune in the 50s, we're talking $60,000, maybe $75,000 in lost earnings.
And he settles for $5,000.
$5,000 plus hospital bills. Because he can't prove the loss. The system just saw a healed bone and wrote off his entire career, his whole identity.
So he feels cheated, betrayed, and that's the fuel for everything that comes next.
Exactly. Fast forward 5 months, Harlan is in Galveston, recovering from a week-long bender, trying to, as he puts it, cook the booze out of his system. He's at his lowest point.
Bitter, broke, vulnerable.
The perfect time for a man like Purvis to walk through the door.
Okay, so let's talk about Purvis, the investigator. He shows up, and immediately things feel off.
They do. He tracks Harlan down in Galveston, and right away, Harlan's suspicious. Purvis says he's from Old Colony Insurance.
But that wasn't the company that handled the liability claim.
Exactly. Old Colony was Cannon's life insurance company. The policy was for $100,000.
So Purvis is there about the dead guy, not the injured one.
Right. He claims it's just a routine investigation. Violent death, no witnesses, they just have to check the boxes.
Yeah.
But his whole demeanor says otherwise.
Describe him for us. What's he like?
Physically, he's unimpressive, slender, tired, gray-haired. His clothes look like he just threw them on. But his eyes, the book says they're gray too, and as impersonal as outer space. There's a deadly efficiency under that sloppy exterior.
And he uses it on Harlan right away. It's like a psychological attack.
It is. It's the most insulting bedside manner imaginable. He makes Harlan walk across the room, just watches him, and then says, "You're a screwed duck."
He's basically mocking him for taking the small settlement.
Rubbing salt in the wound. He tells Harlan he looks too healthy, that no jury would give him a dime. It's a calculated move to make Harlan feel that injustice all over again.
To make him an ally.
Or a tool. Purvis admits he's been poking around for 5 months. He senses something is wrong with Cannon's death.
And he starts planting these seeds of doubt in Harlan's mind. He brings up the head injury.
Yeah, he says he doesn't believe Cannon was killed instantly, even though his head was caved in. That's the first time Harlan starts to think this wasn't just an accident.
And it jogs Harlan's memory, right?
It does. Harlan suddenly remembers that he might have heard Cannon moaning or trying to call for help from the wreck. He mentioned it at the hospital, but, trauma, shock, it got dismissed.
But Purvis's reaction and what confirms it.
It's chilling. He just says flatly, he didn't make any noise, believe me. The implication is terrifying.
The head was caved in after the crash, with a weapon. That's why he was silent.
Exactly. And that immediately turns the focus to the person who benefits from the life insurance policy.
The widow, Julia Cannon.
Purvis finds it incredibly suspicious that she never once visited Harlan in the hospital. Her husband caused this wreck. The estate was facing this huge potential lawsuit.
You'd think she'd show up at least to smooth things over.
As Purvis says, a dish like that can pour more oil on the troubled waters in 5 minutes than a lawyer can in a month.
So she's immediately established as this femme fatale figure.
Yeah.
Beautiful, rich.
And very suspicious. Very rich brunette, blue-black hair, brown eyes, fairly tall, around 30, a real looker. And the moment Purvis shows Harlan her photograph, everything changes.
This is the pivot point. Harlan sees the picture and it all clicks into place.
He realizes the problem isn't the insurance company. It's her. It's the beneficiary. He immediately suspects she was involved.
Because he's seen her before.
He's pretty sure she's the woman he saw near the lake just 15 minutes before the crash. But what he does next is brilliant. He lies.
He tells Purvis he's never seen her.
Toothsome, but I never saw her before. It's an incredible moment of quick thinking.
Why lie, though? What's the advantage?
Because he figures out why she never came to the hospital. She was afraid he'd recognize her from the scene. By pretending he doesn't, he holds on to this one piece of secret knowledge. It makes him an independent operator, not just Purvis's pawn.
He's already one step ahead.
And Purvis knows Harlan is sharp. He calls him later from Houston, and he asks this one seemingly tiny detail.
About the laundry bag.
First, he confirms the convertible top was down, which, yes, it was. Then he asks, did you have anything on the seat beside you?
And it's just pure dumb luck that Harlan did.
Total noir coincidence. He had a whole bunch of stuff in a white laundry bag. Dirty sheets, clothes, all bundled up. He was taking it to some kid in town who was a football fan to do his laundry for him.
It's so mundane.
And it's the linchpin of the whole case. Because Purvis's reaction tells Harlan everything. He doesn't say, aha, or that's it. He just says, very slowly,
Like he was expecting that answer. He was fishing for it.
He was. And that one sound confirms Harlan's theory. Purvis had already connected the dots.
Okay, so let's walk through the theory, because it is brilliant. The police, the insurance adjusters, everyone just assumed Cannon was a blotto drunk.
But Purvis pointed out there were no lab tests. Why would there be? You don't build a DUI case against a dead man when his liability is already obvious. He bought liquor, sure, but that doesn't mean he was incapacitated.
So the theory is that this wasn't an accident. It was intentional.
It was a failed murder-suicide, born from jealousy and a catastrophic case of mistaken identity.
Cannon was looking for his wife, Julia, and her lover, a man named Tallant.
Right. So imagine you're Cannon, driving down this dark road. You see a convertible coming. In the driver's seat, you see a big silhouette. Harlan was a big guy, a pro running back, similar in build to this Tallant character.
Yeah.
And on the passenger seat, you catch a glimpse of something big and white. The laundry bag.
And in that split second, he thinks it's Julia.
He thinks she's crouched down, hiding from his headlights. He sees the big guy he thinks is her lover, and he sees the white bundle he thinks is her.
And he snaps.
He snaps. He deliberately crashes his car into them, trying to kill them both. That mundane bag of dirty laundry is what triggered 2 murders.
It's an incredible piece of detective work, really. And only Purvis could have seen it.
Because he wasn't looking at it like a car wreck. He was looking at it from the life insurance angle, focusing on the beneficiary's strange behavior over months. He saw the patterns everyone else missed.
So Harlan now knows this terrifying truth. He wasn't in an accident. He was almost collateral damage in a crime of passion.
Which means the information he has is incredibly valuable and incredibly dangerous.
The first thing he does is check up on Purvis. Smart move.
Very smart. He calls Old Colony Insurance directly, and they tell him that, oh, Mr. Purvis left the company several months ago.
So he's gone rogue. This is a private operation.
It's a blackmail scheme, and Purvis is just using his old credentials as a cover. Harlan realizes he's not a partner, he's just the key. Purvis needs to unlock the money.
So when they meet in Houston, the dynamic has completely shifted. Harlan knows what's up.
And Purvis doesn't even hide it. He just lays it all out. Her husband crashed you deliberately. Both of you, I think.
And he confirms the theory about the weapon, right? The head wound.
Yeah, he gets specific. He says the wound was crushed by some terrific blow, and its position, slightly to the rear, suggests it wasn't from the dashboard, it was a weapon used after the crash.
And he points out that Julia and her lover would have had to drive right past the scene of the wreck to get back to town.
Giving them the perfect opportunity to finish the job.
Then comes the negotiation.
And this is where you see Purvis's true colors. He demands a 75-25 split. 75,000 for him, 25 for Harlan.
Harlan's just the eyewitness, the muscle.
But Harlan is smarter than that. He knows Purvis can't do it without him. He needs a credible witness who was there under the car who could have seen something. So Harlan counters 60-40.
In his favor.
Right. And feeling confident, feeling like he has the leverage, Harlan makes a huge mistake. He tries to get physical.
He thinks because he's this big ex-athlete.
He can just muscle this slender, tired-looking old guy. He grabs him and slaps him across the face, says, let's have it now.
And that does not go well for him.
It's a complete disaster.
Yeah.
Purvis, this frail-looking man, just explodes. He doesn't throw a wild punch. It's precise. It's a martial art.
Judo or something like it.
Something lethal. He hits Harlan in the solar plexus, the Adam's apple, and under the ear. These are disabling blows. Harlan is instantly paralyzed, sick, can't breathe. Purvis just eases him down to the floor like an old mattress.
And just as he's lying there, helpless,
The doorbell rings. Catastrophic timing.
Harlan is stuck on the floor, paralyzed, and can only listen as the second murder unfolds.
Purvis opens the door. There's a guy there claiming to be a federal radio inspector. It's a classic ruse to get someone to lower their guard.
And it works. Purvis, who just asserted his dominance, is caught off balance.
Harlan can't see it, but he hears it. He describes the sound as if somebody had hurled a green watermelon against the wall.
Yad.
When he can finally move, he drags himself forward and sees Purvis. He's on his back, eyes open, dead.
And the killer.
Harlan just gets a glimpse of his back as he's leaving. A man as big as a house with dark, brush-cut hair. He's calm. He even takes the time to go through Purvis's desk before he leaves, taking the murder weapon with him.
And Harlan knows immediately.
He knows. This has to be Tallant, the lover, the man Cannon was looking for. He's just watched the accomplice commit a second murder to cover up the first.
And Harlan is now the only living witness.
Yeah.
Which makes him the next target.
His entire strategy has to change. He can't use force. He can't confront this guy. He has to switch from muscle to pure, undeniable leverage.
So he goes into full-on detective mode. He heads to their town, Wales, and starts his surveillance.
Right. He finds Tallant's business, a sporting goods store, in the paper. He rents a room with a view of the town square, gets his binoculars out. He's operating like a sniper now.
And he sets this really clever little trap to confirm his identity.
Yeah, this is great. He needs to be 100% sure. So he calls the store and asks for something super specific. A niche fishing item. A GBF torpedo head fly line.
Something only the owner would really know about.
Exactly. Tallant answers, says he'll check. And as he turns away from the phone to look at the shelves, Harlan has him in the binoculars.
And it's him.
It's him. The tremendous spread of shoulders, the short, crisp black hair. It's the man from Purvis's apartment. Now Harlan knows his target, and he can build his plan.
And the plan is genius because it's built to counter Tallant's greatest strength, which is physical violence.
Right. Harlan learned from Purvis's death that a physical confrontation is suicide. So his weapon has to be information and the threat of an unseen third party. He basically takes Purvis's blackmail idea and perfects it.
And this requires some serious prep work.
Oh, yeah. This is where he becomes a real criminal strategist. He buys a portable typewriter, a new Colt .45, which is his insurance policy he hopes never to use, and the most important piece of equipment,
The tape recorder.
a high-quality one with a very sensitive microphone.
And he types up his main piece of leverage, the deathbed confession.
This thing is a masterpiece of blackmail. It's a 2-page notarized letter detailing everything: the murder of Cannon, the murder of Purvis, and he even anticipates his own murder. And crucially, he confesses to his own role, the extortion.
He's willing to go down with him if he dies.
That's what makes the threat so real. And the distribution is the key. He keeps a carbon copy for the meeting, but he tells them he has 2 signed originals with an accomplice, his fishing buddy, George Gray.
If anything happens to Harlan.
The originals get mailed to the district attorneys in 2 different cities. The whole weight of the law comes crashing down on them. It's a perfect dead man's switch.
So his first move is to see Julia, to case the joint.
Exactly. He goes to her house, 324 Cherrywood Drive, and he plays the part of the dumb, injured jock. You know, just a goof, sorry about the accident, all of that.
And while he's there, he's observing everything. Her, the house.
And he makes the most critical move of the whole operation. While she's distracted, getting coffee, he goes over to the glass patio door, which is hidden by a drape, and he unlatches it. He just reverses the little plungers on the lock.
Setting up his entry point.
For the main event. The next morning, he breaks in through that door. He plants the tape recorder behind the sofa, gets it perfectly positioned, and leaves. Then he comes back to the front door and starts the real confrontation.
He makes her call Tallant.
To get him into the house, into the recording zone. And he notices she dials the number from memory. A small detail, but it confirms everything.
She tries to warn him on the call, though.
She's smart. She says, "Mr. Tallant, something has come up." A little bit of code. So Tallant knows to be cautious when he arrives.
So Tallant gets there. Harlan presents his carbon copy of the letter, explains the whole accomplice setup.
And he lets them stew in their own panic. Then he pretends to get fed up and storms out.
But he immediately goes around back.
Breaks in again, grabs the recorder, and gets out clean. A flawless execution.
And the tape? It's the smoking gun.
It's everything. He's captured them discussing the situation. Tallant says something like, "A pig like Harlan would divide anything with anybody. He's in it alone." And Julia says, "It's so dangerous if we guess wrong."
They've just confessed to the whole thing on tape.
So Harlan takes Julia, forces her to drive him to the post office. He mails the tape in a package that looks identical to one with fishing lures he's sending to his friend George.
So Julia and Tallant think he's mailing the signed original letter to his accomplice. He's reinforced the bluff perfectly.
He's traded all his physical power for this one single piece of intellectual leverage. And for a moment, it looks like it's going to work perfectly.
But it starts to unravel almost immediately.
Yeah.
The plan seems solid, but the human element gets in the way.
It always does. So he and Julia are holed up in this remote cabin for 6 days, waiting for the money. She gives him $8,000 in cash as a down payment. She's playing the part of the good little victim.
And then Tallant shows up.
And he is not happy. He's described as wild with impatience and drinking. He's consumed with jealousy about Harlan and Julia being out there alone.
So the emotional pressure is starting to crack the foundation of the plan.
Big time. Harlan has to keep reminding him about the tape, about the accomplice, just to keep Tallant from shooting Julia right then and there. Tallant finally leaves, but Harlan realizes he can't leave Julia alone. She's his human shield.
They have to get out of there. And that's when Harlan makes his biggest mistake.
The fatal error. They go to his car and the battery's dead. He just assumes it's a short or something, but the implication is clear.
Tallant did it while he was there.
Sabotaged it. So they have to abandon Harlan's car at the cabin and leave in Julia's. Harlan has no idea that Tallant is going to go right back to that car and tear it apart.
Meanwhile, Harlan is still trying to maintain the bluff. He makes this counterintelligence call from Shreveport.
Right. He knows Julia is listening to every word. So he calls his friend George Gray, the supposed accomplice, and he has this carefully coded conversation about a fishing trip and the package of base bugs he sent.
He's trying to convince Julia that he's checking in with his partner. It's a hell of a performance.
It is. He thinks he's being so clever. But he's misjudging his audience.
Because Julia isn't just a panic victim. She's been watching him for 6 days.
She's been calculating, looking for the weak spots. Her silence wasn't fear. It was observation. She's testing him.
And the test comes to a brutal end when they get back to Wales.
She lures him into the house, into a small, dark bedroom, saying she needs to change. And Harlan, he's probably exhausted, overconfident. He just walks right in.
And Tallant is waiting for him with a shotgun.
Game over. Tallant tells him the whole thing. The jealousy at the cabin, all of it, was an act to get him back here on their turf.
And they tell him how they knew he was bluffing. The Shreveport call.
It was the thing he thought was so clever. They tell him they were listening, and it was obvious from George Gray's end of the conversation that he had no idea what Harlan was talking about. He was talking about fishing and a job offer, not blackmail.
His whole high wire act just collapses.
And then Tallant delivers the final blow. He tells Harlan he went back to the abandoned car, drove it to New Orleans, and searched it top to bottom. He already found the tape.
Wow.
And not only that, Tallant reveals he was running his own surveillance at the cabin. He'd made these little mounds of dirt in the tire ruts so he could tell if anyone had come or gone. He knew Harlan had no accomplice. He was just that meticulous.
So Harlan was completely outplayed.
Completely. Tallant decides to keep him alive until Thursday, the deadline Harlan set, just to be absolutely 100% sure the threat is fake. And they tie him to the bed.
Hands cuffed to the frame, feet tied, mouth gagged. The athlete is totally immobilized, a prisoner.
He lost everything because he saw them as emotional and impulsive, and he failed to see just how cold and patient they could be.
So Harlan's tied up for a day, just waiting to die.
Yeah.
And then the whole thing shifts again, violently.
Tallant comes back, and he's drunk, and that jealousy that was an act at the cabin is now very, very real. He's losing his mind thinking about Harlan and Julia together.
He starts trying to beat the information out of Harlan, tearing off the restraints.
It's just a sloppy, emotional mess, and Julia steps in. Her line is incredible. She tells him not to make a sloppy mess in her beautiful home. She's not worried about the violence. She's worried about the cleanup.
She's pure pragmatist.
To the very end. And in the struggle, as Tallant is losing control, she shoots him.
She kills him. The third murder.
Done not out of passion, but out of cold, practical necessity. Tallant was becoming a liability.
And Harlan is suddenly free, but he's in an even worse position.
Because now his survival is completely tied to hers. If she gets caught for Tallant's murder, she'll confess to everything. And he goes down as an accessory to 3 murders and an extortionist. He has to save her to save himself.
He goes from being the blackmailer to being the cleanup crew.
And it's a gruesome, detailed process. First, they have to find the bullet. It's lodged in the pillow, inches from where Harlan's head had been.
A close call.
Incredibly. Then they have to wrap up Tallant's huge body in a sheet, carry him out to her Buick, and stuff him in the trunk.
And Harlan has to dispose of the body.
He drives to Galveston, buys a shovel, and heads out to the dunes. The book spends a lot of time on this. The sheer physical exhaustion of digging a 4-foot grave in the sand. It's like a punishment, forcing him back into the physical labor he thought he'd escaped.
So with Tallant gone, the deal is back on.
In a way, Julia goes to the bank in Houston, gets the rest of the money. $92,000.
They meet at a hotel. She gives him the briefcase with the full $100,000.
She even tosses him the tape, which is worthless now. The game is over. He's won. He got the money. He's euphoric.
But Julia has one last piece of information for him.
She tells him, very calmly, that she's refilled a prescription for sleeping pills. And she's going to check into another hotel under a different name and commit suicide.
She's choosing her own exit. No trial. No Roman carnival, as she calls it.
It's her last act of control, but it's not her last move. As Harlan is sitting there, probably in shock but still holding his prize, she tells him she has one final gift for him. A legacy.
This is the real core of the book, isn't it? The final twist.
It's the whole point. He's sitting there with his money thinking he's won. And she explains her mechanism for perpetual terror.
What did she do?
She wrote it all down. A full account of all 3 murders, Cannon, Purvis, and Tallant. And she included Harlan's role in everything. The extortion, hiding evidence, helping dispose of Tallant's body. She used his own crimes against him.
But just writing it down isn't enough.
Oh, no. She made it official. She had the document notarized by a very old woman in very ill health, an old teacher of hers.
So there's a legal witness to the statement.
Exactly. And the mechanism is the delivery system.
Yeah.
The sealed, notarized document is in the old woman's lawyer's safe. The instructions are simple. It is only to be opened upon the old woman's death.
My God. So is a ticking clock?
An unpredictable one. The old woman could die tonight. She could live for 5 more years. And Harlan will never know when the axe will fall.
Why not just send it to the police right away?
Because that would be an ending. He'd be arrested, he'd serve his time, it would be over.
Julia didn't want to give him the piece of a consequence.
She wanted to give him something else.
She says she wanted to bequeath him the only other emotion she thinks he's capable of feeling besides greed. Fear. And she wanted to savor it, to watch it grow over time.
The money is poison.
Yeah.
Meaningless.
It's the price he paid for a life sentence of dread. Every morning he wakes up, he has to wonder, is today the day? Did the old woman die? Is the mail coming for me? And the book ends with his panic.
It's total visceral panic. He grabs the Houston Yellow Pages and starts looking for notaries, for lawyers. And he just sees column after column of names, a whole river of lawyers.
It's impossible. He can never find it.
He is completely and utterly trapped. He tried to outsmart the system, and in the end, he was beaten by the most mundane parts of it: a notary public, a lawyer's safe, and the inevitable death of an old woman.
It's an incredible ending. He traded a busted leg for a life of psychological paralysis.
He did. So if we bring this back to our mission, we wanted to understand the crime. And transactionally, Harlan succeeded. He got the $100,000.
But he completely failed to understand his opponent. He was playing checkers for cash, and she was playing a long, existential game of chess.
He got the money, but he lost his future. He lost his peace of mind. Forever. He thought the goal was the payoff, but the most dangerous enemy is the one who's willing to lose, because they can use their exit to completely weaponize your victory.
Julia's suicide wasn't an act of defeat. It was the trigger for her final attack.
And that's the knowledge Harlan is left with. That $100,000 isn't freedom. It's the ticking clock on his own destruction.
There's this final thought he has that's so chilling. He thinks about Tallant and Julia, both dead, finally at peace. And he says they've gotten up and given me their seats in front of the wheel.
He's the one driving toward the crash now. So what does it even mean to win? What good is the money when your victory just guarantees you a life of looking over your shoulder, forever waiting for that one piece of mail to arrive?
A terrifying question to end on. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the mechanics of a perfect trap. We hope this knowledge sticks with you.